All right, so this is the Jerry Graves channel. I want to talk about a lot of different topics. This is the channel where you learn about mastering your flow, how to deal with narcissists, bullies, ostracism, and pretty much everything all in one. And I'm going to hit you up with the topic for the day, which is this is basically for people who are melanated. Um, I wanted to say because it's hard to talk about narcissism and things like that because it's so deep, because it's not just narcissism, that I have to contend with. Like, as a black person, I have to continue with people who are disordered, but also I have to go against the system of white supremacy. So it's a lot of confusion, and I wouldn't be doing my listeners a service if I never talked about white supremacy. And I have black listeners, and then they're basically I'm further confusing them. But so I had a listener who was talking about how she was dealing with, she's kind of an introvert, and then she ends up with other people who are a little bit introverted too, but then they turn out to be narcissists. And then at the end of the day, if the thing, obviously it doesn't work out between them, and then she ends up getting ostracized by the person who was trying to be her friend at first. Basically, that's, to sum it up, it's kind of like that. There was more to it, but that's basically how it is. I've been through that situation, and but what I noticed is that she's black. So at the end of the day, that changes the whole context. Like, for one, it's easier to ostracize a black person. It's just easier to do that in a system of white supremacy, you know. And then you just have less power to fight anything, you know. So even more than that, it's kind of like, if you have the wrong expectations as a black person as far as how to make friends, and what your expectations of how to have friends, and how many friends you're supposed to have, or how life is supposed to go at work and things like that. Like, all of that is basically a scam. Like, it's a scam when it comes to a black person, because they're sabotaging that. Like, they say that you can achieve certain things, and I'm not talking about success. I'm talking about just the average lifestyle of an American. It's put out to us through movies, TV shows, what people talk about, and they don't really tailor it to be like, okay, but you're black, so it's going to be a lot different for you. Like, you're not going to be able to just go to college, and even if you do, there's no guarantee you're going to get a job, and even if you get a job, there's no guarantee that you're going to keep it. There's a bunch of things that can go wrong, and there's things that will go wrong, because you live in a system of white supremacy, and it's designed that way. And that's what's important to understand before you start feeling lonely or feeling down about things if you don't have friends. Like, for one, you're black, so you're going to be dealing with the fact that most black people have poison in them socially, that's put there by the white supremacists. So you're not going to have friends just in general. Like, it's not going to, and it sucks to say that, but as far as being able to get along with another black person, if you're around a black person long enough and you're another black person, there's going to be a problem, just because that's how it is. It's been set up that way. There's toxins in this world that was put there by the white supremacists, to where we can't really get along with each other, not for a long period of time. It's going to come out, that poison that was put there, and hostility, and you're not going to get along with white people. You're not going to be able to have any friends with, or true friends with, a white person. You guys can do stuff that's constructive together, like these videos. We talk about constructive things, but as far as having a real friend with somebody, when you're in a system of white supremacy, it's like you're in a prison system. They're outside of it. So how are you guys really going to have friends? Like, they're the warden, Any white person can come in and basically say that you did anything and you'll get in trouble. Their word is final over yours. So how can you be friends with somebody like that? Like true friends, the power dynamic isn't equal. If you're friends with somebody, you guys are equal as far as power wise, the same thing with being in a relationship with somebody who's a suspected white supremacist or from the white culture. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think all white people are white supremacists. I don't suspect that they all are white supremacists. But the white supremacists are more powerful than the people who aren't. So, so the point is that you don't have really any options to have friends as a black person. So we have these ideas that you're supposed to belong to a group of friends. I mean, you can do that. You can try to do that for a while, but things are going to go bad and sour eventually. That's the reason why there's always, you see like the videos online of black people constantly fighting each other. Like everybody gets together thinking it's going to be a good day, but at the end of the day, it comes out, the poison that was put there by the white supremacists. So that's not going to exist. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with having friendships with the white people, because their culture is even more hostile than dealing with another black person. So you can pretend to be friends. I mean, but to have true friendship, you have to get rid of the system. So I think I'm gonna leave it there. But basically, I've seen situations like that. Like where I've seen it multiple times. Most black people don't really have a bunch of friends. Like they talk like it, they talk like they do, but they really don't. And I mean, I was watching this. It just reminds me of a guy I watch, or I used to watch on YouTube, right? He makes all these videos, like funny videos. He's a black guy. So he ends up moving to a different state because his channel blows up, and he's practically making like a ton of money every year, like over $1 million. I don't know how much he gets to keep, but he makes a lot. So he's like, oh, well, I'm gonna move to California, you know what I'm saying? And even deeper than this, he had a white girlfriend. So he basically puts her on too. Like, she ends up with a channel, and she gets a lot of his followers to get, juice, and then she basically does the same type of videos he does, but she also has another culture. Like, she has I don't know exactly where she's from, but she does a bunch of videos, and so she has a separate crowd of people that are from her country who follow her. So she has a lot of followers, and she just basically does what he does, except her own version for her people, and she'll even speak in a different language. So that was another thing. That was a red flag right there, is that he put her on, and that's normally how it happens. You'll see a lot of black people, black men, they'll start getting some success, right, on YouTube, and the first thing they do is they get a white girlfriend, and then she'll stay with him for a little bit, and then she ends up leaving him, and she ends up having like almost as many followers on YouTube as he did, and she never even was thinking about YouTube before she met him. Now she's making $100,000 a month, and she basically used him, So that's what happened to him here, right? And so he's about to cry about it. He's talking about it up there, you know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, I don't want anybody to diss her. Don't thumbs down her videos, blah, blah. And then he goes into how he doesn't have any friends in California, which is something I already knew. That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? He was showing all the places he's going to rent, and like he has some fly places. And I'm like, Yeah, man, that would be awesome if you were white. If you were white, then yeah, you would make all this money, move to California, and then, you know what I'm saying, you live happily ever after. But as a black person, there's still barriers there, even if people say that they aren't. And there's a lot of black people, they end up feeling bad, feeling sad. And he was kind of a sellout. He used to make a lot of jokes about black people, which is the reason why I stopped watching him. You know what I'm saying? But like, he'd make little jokes, you know, self-deprecating jokes, and he just basically thought that, you know, the white people were going to open up their arms and just accept him in. Now, it's crazy because he has a lot of followers, but he still doesn't have what he wanted. You know what I mean? And that's how it is. That's how it is when you're black. It doesn't matter if you have one part of your life where you feel like you have a kind of a hold on it. You got a little bit of money. All the other parts of your life is still dominated by white supremacy, and they could come and take that money from you at any point. You know what I mean? So even just having normalcy, you don't even have to be, like I said, where he's at a successful level, but I mean, just having a normalcy under this situation isn't going to happen. You know, so don't have those expectations. Appreciate if you do meet somebody, appreciate them, but get good at being alone, and get connected with your creator. You know, if you feel lonely, pray, and just start working on being constructive, because the world isn't the way that they project it to you, and your parents never told you this, but it's just not that way, and you're only one person. You know what I'm saying? So you can't change it overnight by yourself. You just need to be working on being constructive and trying to produce justice in the world. And if you're a white person, you should be doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It causes a lot of The system of white supremacy causes a lot of pain. You know what I'm saying? Even stuff that you don't think is related. Like, I don't think that, or most people, when they're lonely, they're not thinking, oh, it's because I'm black. They just think that, you know, they made some mistake somewhere. But in reality, most of your problems are going to come down to you being black. Most of it, like, if you really start to look at it, it's going to come down to that, because again, we live in a system of white supremacy. And hopefully that clears things up for you. I talked for a long time here, but it's about giving clarity, you know, and sometimes I'm going to repeat myself just so you can hold on to those points. It's about clarity so you can see your situation clear, you know, and hopefully it'll calm you down. So when you feel alone, that you're not feeling like there's something wrong with you. You know, it's just how it is, and it's how it is for most black people across the planet. Even if they act or feel like they do have friends, they aren't really friends, and that's the reason why people end up getting hurt when they spend a whole bunch of time together. Now all of a sudden, you know, it starts off with handshakes, high fives, good music, everybody's having a good time, and then at the end of the night, there's gunfire. You know, because there's toxin there that was put by the white supremacists, and there's hostility there, and you really don't need to be around other people unless you're doing something constructive, you know. So just find somebody from the opposite sex that you can be around, but other than that, like, unless they're talking about business or something constructive, you don't need to hang around and do all that with them. And that's not how life is for a black person, even though they try to make it seem like that's how it's supposed to be. But it's not. That's not how it's supposed to be. Not when you're, I mean, look around you. There's people getting killed out here, and people are still trying to make friends so they can go and drink. And not that that's what the listener's talking about, but I'm saying there's a lot of black people that think like that. It's like, right now you need to be on the let me produce justice so that my children and everybody doesn't have to face these same problems.